Okay.
I'd like to introduce myself and my colleague Karen. My name is Dr. Mike Cassidy-Hogg. I'm a doctor of chiropractic, and this is Dr. Karen Phillip, who's my colleague. And just quickly so you know who I am and why I'm here today. When I was 16, I injured my back really badly in karate. I was practicing some kicks against a punch bag, and I got this sudden sharp pain in my back and all the way down my leg. Has anyone had sciatica before? It's not very nice, is it? Yeah, so I could hardly walk. It stopped me doing karate. Yeah, I could hardly put my trousers on. It wasn't very good. I eventually went to a chiropractor who fixed me. In one session, I felt immediately a lot better, and it took a bit of time of rehabilitating my back after that. And from then on, I became a chiropractor because I wanted to help other people get over back pain and avoid it, prevent it at the same time. So we come, as well as working in our practice in Southwick, we come out to companies to help people stay well and healthy, and give you hopefully some vital information to help you avoid this sort of pain as well. So this is our practice. We're in Southwick. We've got free parking up there. I don't know if you know Southwick at all. Nice little villagey green. And this is what we're going to be talking about today. Yeah, so what I want to do is keep it really simple, really relevant, so that you can get some important take-home information to help you avoid a lot of pain and know what to do if you get any back pain as well. We're going to talk about why it's important to look after your back, first of all. Has anyone had back pain before? Right, okay, quite a few. Yeah, it affects so many of us, and sometimes it comes and goes, but sometimes it can really interfere with your quality of life. We're going to talk about what actually happens when you get back pain. There's different kinds of back pain. If you understand what causes it, you can help to prevent it as well. We're going to talk about how to prevent it, of course, that's the most important thing, and also, if it does go wrong, how to fix it. So that's what your options are in terms of treatment, but also what you can do for yourself to help get over the pain quicker. So why is it important? First of all, 80% of people get back pain at some point in their lives, and there's different reasons for this. And for some people, it comes and goes, but for some people, it lingers on, or most likely, it keeps recurring. Meaning you think it goes away, or you might be more stressed one day, or spending more time in the office, for example, or do something different like out in the garden as soon as the sun comes out. All of a sudden you get some back pain, and it settles down, but it seems the same problem keeps coming again and again. That indicates that there's an underlying problem. It's the most common case of what they call acute morbidity. What that means is loss of quality of life. So it's literally the leading cause of having a rubbish quality of life, because you can't do the things you want to do and you're in pain most of the time. Anyone who's had back pain can probably empathise with that. Yeah, there's a few nodding heads around the room. Okay, you've probably seen this picture before. This is this is probably where most people would identify themselves at the moment. I think this is a great representation, whether you believe in evolution or not. We're built to be active mammals. We're built to run about hunting, gathering, catching things, pulling things out the ground, and basically doing stuff every day. Society now, this is what most of us do. Or if we're not doing that, we're lifting heavy objects. Or if we're not doing that, we're sitting in our car or on the couch. And this causes all manner of problems simply because we're not using our body the way it's designed for. So if you know what it's designed for and do it a little bit more like that, again, your body will respond by being nice to you, basically. Okay, so what actually hurts? What I would put the question to you guys actually. So when you get back pain, what do you think it is that you can feel?
A nerve, because it's a trapped nerve, so I think it's sciatica.
Yes, so it can be a trapped nerve. So all the nerves from the body that communicate, the way the body communicates to the brain, come through the spine. Which means if you get a problem in any area of the spine, you can get a pinched nerve. Normally what actually happens is you get inflammation around the nerve that causes pressure on it, and then you get pain down wherever that nerve goes. That's why sciatica is so common, because the sciatic nerve comes from the lower back and it goes right down the back of the leg. But it could be any nerve. You could have a pinched nerve in your neck causing problems down your arm, or in the middle causing potentially other problems in the middle of the back, or perhaps even digestive problems. It depends what nerve is being affected. What most people think of when they think of back pain is the muscles, because that's what we're most aware of. And this is what we hear most of the time. Oh, it's not my back, it's muscular. And it might be muscular, but quite often the muscles are only responding to what else is going on. So if something's not quite right, something out of alignment in your spine, the muscles around it are going to have to compensate, so they're going to tighten up. So you might find you've got a really tight muscle on one side of your back because it's working harder on that side. And it can do that for a while. Your body's amazing at compensating. But eventually, it's going to start grumbling if it's doing that all the time. Muscular pain can be sharp, but most of the time it's achy, dull, diffuse pain, we call it. So you can't really pinpoint it that well, but it kind of spreads around, and it'll be worse depending on certain movements, like getting out of a chair, for example. Anything else that we can think of? Well, so see what else you've got in your back. Discs. Have you ever heard of a slip disc? Has anyone ever had a slip disc?
Yeah,
that's what causes my...
That's what's pinching my nerve.
Exactly, that's often what causes sciatica. The discs are the shock absorbers in the back. I'll pass this around, you can have a look at it. So in between, you've got 24 vertebrae, 24 bones, and in between you've got shock absorbers called discs. And as long as it's aligned correctly and it's moving well, these discs can stay healthy your whole life. You can take an x-ray of an 80-year-old and all the discs are in really good shape. You can also x-ray a 25-year-old and find that some of those are not in good shape at all. It depends if they've been injured, if they've sat too long, that kind of thing. So what can happen with the discs is you get a bit of damage to them and they start to bulge out. So it doesn't actually slip, but the jelly inside it starts to bulge out. And if that compresses on a nerve, then that's when you know about it, because it really sends pain, for example, down the leg. So the discs are at the front of the spine, which means that generally the discs will get worse with prolonged or repetitive forward bending or sitting for a long period, because you end up, for all good intents and purposes, no matter how expensive your chair is, you're going to end up slouching in it at some point if you sit there 8 hours a day. Repetitive bending, especially first thing in the morning, but I'm going to come to that in a minute. I'll pass these around, just have a look at these and get the idea of what happens when your discs wear out. Remember, it's not age, it's whether or not they were working properly. So as well as your discs, there are joints in the spine. So the joints are at the back of the spine, which means that whereas the discs are generally worse when you bend forwards, the joints will feel worse when you bend backwards. So a really good test for your joints is just to bend back as far as you can and back and to the side as far as you can. You can do the same with your neck. If it feels okay, the joints are probably happy. If you get a pinching pain, or if it's very stiff getting out of a chair because the joints have seized up and they don't want to compress on each other again, then that means that the joints are not well. And again, that's our job, is to look after those and get them moving properly. When you get it moving parts moving properly, they feel better. These are all the things that we have to determine by doing a proper exam, by the way. You can get an idea about what's causing the pain just by what you tell us, but we need to do a full exam really to find out, and that's why we spend so long qualifying to find out exactly what the problem is. So as well as the discs, you've got ligaments. Those hold the bones together. Those can be injured as well. And you've got, quite rightly, you said, the nerves in there as well. So now you know what can go wrong. So what can you do about it? Okay. This is the take-home stuff, by the way, so this is what to pay attention to. So if you remember nothing else, remember this and this. So in the morning, have you ever heard people say that you're taller in the morning when you wake up than you are when you go to bed? Do you know why? I guess.
It's compression during the day.
Exactly. It's the discs that compress. So you're upright all day, your body weight's pushing those discs out. Some of the fluid comes out, that's normal, and they compress. You can lose about ½ an inch of height. And then you lie down for several hours, the fluid goes back in, and they expand again. So you're a little bit taller for about an hour. So people at 5'9" I really appreciate the first hour. Yeah, but that also means that if your discs are a little bit delicate, so if they have a bit of damage to them, then if you bend over forwards in the morning and don't think about what you're doing, then you can blow that disc out, meaning you can cause an injury to it, because the high pressure actually causes damage. Most people who come to see us with acute back pain, that means it's suddenly come on, did it first thing in the morning. But think about the morning as well, so that's also the time when there's loads of things that you have to bend forwards to put your socks on, pick up the shampoo for some of us, feed the cat, pick up your handbag, etc. So if you are just careful about that by bending your knees, that kind of thing, you can save yourself a whole lot of pain. And it's just getting into the habit of doing that. Who can tell me what good posture means? Because it's quite a misunderstood thing, this.
Shoulders back.
Yeah, that's part of it. What would you, if you were going to give a definition of good posture, what's good about it? Yeah, that's one of the key things actually, it's comfortable. Good posture is the position your body is in using the least amount of effort to keep you upright and with the least amount of strain on your body to keep you upright. So it's a bit of engineering, basically. The way it's designed, the spine has certain shapes, certain curves to it, and these are designed to displace the forces. It's like if you were going to design a bridge, for example, you displace forces through curves. And providing it's in approximately the right shape, then all the weight of your body gets supported really easily. If it's not in the right shape, for example, if your head's forward or you're slumped like this, then your muscles are carrying that weight for you instead of your spine doing it. So you can literally, they've got, believe it or not, dead people's spines, some people do this for a living, and put the weight of a car on top of it, and you can't compress it, it won't change. If your head's a little bit forward like that, it doesn't have that strength at all. So good posture just means keeping your body in the right alignment so it puts less stress on your body. This is how much your head weighs.
Do a few exercises.
Yeah. So this is 11 pounds or about 5 kilos. This is balanced on that little structure called your neck all day. So if it's in the right alignment, it's designed to hold that really well. But if you're sitting in a computer like this for hours on end, for example, your head's going to creep forwards a bit. So it's no wonder what you can get neck tension, you can get headaches, perhaps that's going to cause problems down the arm. It's quite surprising. Is if you ever get the chance to get someone, you have to ask them nicely, get them to lie on the floor and just lift their head. You can really appreciate how much their head actually weighs. Here's the caveat though. So when you say good posture, everyone goes, sit up straight, that kind of thing. The problem is, if your body's become stiffened into a certain position, so over time you've been used to doing this, then if you try to adopt a good posture, all you're doing is causing more tension in the body. You can't force it. You're actually going to cause more stress on the spine and cause more problems, believe it or not. So there's two ways to deal with this. So first of all, you've got to get the body physically freed up and moving, and again, that's part of what chiropractors do. So we get all that moving properly, so naturally it straightens up without you even having to try. And the second thing, of course, is look at your ergonomics. So let's look at how high your monitor is, make sure it's not too low. If you use 2 monitors, make sure you're not craning all the time, make sure you've got your eyes tested so that you're not craning in, all that kind of thing, which I'm sure your health and safety particularly hot on, because it's a really important thing. Has anyone got any questions about posture, especially at desk, by the way? Or ergonomics? You're pretty happy with how your desk's supposed to be set up? Okay. This is the first thing to remember to avoid a lot of pain. This is the second. If it hurts, don't put heat on it, you'll make it worse. Who knows why? Yeah, it's absolutely spot on. So if pain suddenly comes on quite quickly, or if it's more than, say, a 5 out of 10, then there's inflammation involved. A bit like if you've ever sprained your ankle and it swells up. That's quite a lot of inflammation. Small amount of inflammation there in the spine or in the back can cause back pain. If you add heat to inflammation, what do you get? More inflammation, yeah, exactly. So it feels comforting because you're warming the muscles up and you're getting the blood flowing, and at the time it feels nice, but actually you're keeping the inflammation going for longer. So you can turn 2 days of back pain into 2 weeks by heating it. The best thing to do is ice pack, cold pack. So we give people professional gel cold packs made of like an alcohol gel. You keep it in the freezer, and if you ever get any pain anywhere, stick that on first. You can use a bag of frozen peas. Make sure you put a mark on the peas so you know which ones you've defrosted 20 times before you cook them. Yeah, you'll thank me for that. Either way though, so you get your peas, you put a tea towel across it. It doesn't touch the skin, otherwise you'll blister the skin. And you put it on there for 15-20 minutes. It settles inflammation. If you do that, then normally you can nip it in the bud. You can avoid a lot of pain. So that's the thing to remember. This is really important too. So this goes back to the caveman drawing. It's very easy to get engrossed in your work, because I'm sure you're all excellent employees who work really hard. But you can get consumed with what you do, and the next thing you know, several hours has gone by. So it's really important to just get up and move around. Just go and have a cup of tea, a glass of water. Just go walk to the printer or something. Ideally, go for a walk at lunchtime as well. I know it's good to work through your lunch sometimes to get stuff done, but your back will thank you for it. Just a 10-minute walk briskly. Walking for the health of the back means don't carry a handbag. Walking around the shops doesn't count, and walk briskly, because you need to swing your arms normally in order to get the rotation that helps the back. And don't ignore little twinges. If it just happens once or twice, put an ice pack on, it'll go away. If it keeps happening again and again in the same place, your body's telling you something. You know, it's telling you that there's a problem. And those little twinges will become big twinges, and they'll become something that will really impact your life. So the first thing to do, remember, is ice it. But if not, get professional opinion on it. It's really easy to sort things out if you know what you're doing, especially if you get it early. Any questions about any of that, by the way?
You were just talking about the desk posture thing. What are your tips on that? Because actually, to be honest with you, I don't really know a lot about how to say that.
Well, the first thing to do is make sure you're sitting straight. So we go into a lot of offices and we check people's, people often use a laptop and a big screen. But they'll use their laptop as the primary one, just because, oh, I know they haven't thought about it. So they'll spend most of the time doing this, and then occasionally glance at the big screen. It needs to be the other way around, obviously. It's common sense, but you'll be surprised how many people don't do it. So the screen that you mostly look at needs to be bang in front of you. The top of the screen needs to be at eye level, or even higher. So what you can do is you get a couple of reams of paper and put it underneath the monitor to raise it up, just to reduce that. You need to make sure your chair is in what they call a neutral position, which means that your hips want to be ideally slightly above your knees. Because if you're sitting down, the same with cars, if you've got bucket seats in your cars, and you're sitting down with your hips below your knees, then your back rounds, and that puts pressure on the discs. Again, they're fine with that for 10 minutes, but they're probably not fine with it for 8 hours a day for several years. So make sure you're upright, make sure your hips are slightly above your knees. You don't have to be bang upright, you can be slightly tilted back, whatever's comfortable. Make sure the armrests are comfortable, and also that your mouse isn't over here. So you need to keep the mouse quite close to you, because otherwise you end up with this tension and strain all down there, and cause headaches as well. If you like, also Cynthia, we can come around and check your desks, if that would be helpful. Whoever's interested. Okay, so if you do get back pain, you decide to do something about it. I like to explain the role of different people so that you know you can save a lot of time by going to the right person first, or at least knowing what their job is. So you may go and see your GP. So your GP's job is to determine who's about to die in the waiting room, who needs immediate referrals, and who just got sniffles and who needs to be told to do some exercise and eat some healthy food. If you go in with something that's not that severe, likely they're going to give you some painkillers, which are really helpful to get you through the day, but they're not really doing anything to overcome the underlying problem. Painkillers aren't going to get anything moving properly, they're not going to reduce. You can help reduce inflammation with ibuprofen. If you take ibuprofen on an empty stomach, you've got something like 1 in 12,000 chances of ending up in hospital with a stomach bleed. 12,000 people die from this every year in the UK. Don't mean to scare you, but don't take ibuprofen on an empty stomach, especially long term. So again, medication's really helpful, but it doesn't actually fix the problem. If it's been going on for a while, you probably need a little bit more than that. But if it's quite bad, if you keep going back to him, saying, or her, saying, my back's still not right, they might refer you. So they might refer you to a specialist. So a specialist or a consultant, a medical consultant, is a surgeon in the case of backs, an orthopedic surgeon. And they've got one question that they're asking in their head when you walk through the door: do I need to do surgery on this person? So they might put you through an MRI scan if it's really bad. That's where you lie down, really noisy in the tube. They're looking for damage that needs to be repaired surgically. But most people don't need back surgery, thankfully. And most cases will respond well without surgery. It's really a last resort. It changes people's lives when they need it, but it's a last resort, really. If they don't need to operate, sometimes they may perform injections into the joints or into the space around the spine. And again, that can be really helpful, but again, it's not really changing the mechanics of why it hurts, which means it'll be all right for a while, but you may end up getting same problem back or maybe another one because your body doesn't know that it's hurting. Chiropractors and osteopaths, it's similar, and the next question will be what's the difference between a chiropractor and an osteopath? For all intents and purposes, for what we do and the experience you'll get, it's very similar. We both use hands-on treatment to correct physical problems with the body. It's more about finding an approach that you like, finding an approach that works for you. You know, you can get two osteopaths that are very different and go and see an osteopath and a chiropractor and think, well, that's quite similar. It's really down to the individual practitioner and your experience. So I'd say go with recommendations, go with people that you know and trust, that kind of thing. Our job, though, is to look after your back with hands-on care. Chiro means hand. And advice and education like this, because this is key. So the first thing we do when people come in to see us is to tell people how they can look after their own backs, because if you don't know that, you're going to end up with the same problem over and over again. Physiotherapists. If you go down the NHS route, quite often you'll get referred to a physiotherapist first and then to a consultant. Physios are really good at dealing with muscle problems and joint problems as well. If you go to an NHS physio, these days, most of the time they're hands-off for back care. I'm not sure why, to be honest. My wife's a physio and she can't tell me either. But most of the time it'll be an exercise sheet. So it'll be do these exercises and come back in a couple of weeks, that kind of thing. Very helpful for some people. Exercises are good. But again, however, if you're doing exercise with a back that's not working right, are you going to be doing that exercise correctly? Not necessarily. You're going to be doing your back's version of that exercise. You're going to be doing what your spine's allowing you to do. So exercise works really well, but in my opinion it works better combined with hands-on care. So get it moving properly, then combine it with exercise to strengthen the muscles too. You get better results. If you go to a private physio, it's where you pay for it, then obviously they're a little bit more hands-on. But again, that really depends on the practitioner. I hope that makes sense. Have you got any questions about any of that? Was anything not clear? Okay, so a few things you can do to help yourself today. Okay, so number one, basically put the ice on. Just remember this. If it hurts, put an ice pack on. You'll save yourself a lot of bother. Remember, tea towel, 20 minutes. Normally you can nip it in the bud. These are the key things to remember. So walking, you don't have to walk like that, but the idea is briskly with your arms swinging. Like I say, walk around the shops, ladies. Sorry, it's not the same. Sitting upright. So you don't want to sit slouched, but you don't want to be ramrod stiff straight either. You want to be in a normal, what they call a neutral position. Does anyone know why I got a picture of a cat there? Has anyone done yoga before? Yeah, okay, this is an amazing exercise called the cat, which is a yoga exercise, which we show to everybody from day one how to do this. It's a fantastic exercise. Maybe I'll demonstrate it later if I feel like embarrassing me. But I do this exercise before I get out of bed every morning. It takes 30 seconds, sorts you back out. But again, these are simple little tools that you might not know about, but if you do a few seconds a day, save yourself a lot of bother, help you feel a lot better. And this, water, drink loads of water because it's good for you for loads of reasons. We hear this all the time. But in terms of the back, one of the key things we want to do is flush toxins out the muscles and hydrate the discs in the spine. So remember the discs are those things, they've got a jelly inside and the jelly is mostly water. So if your body is generally a bit dehydrated, then your brain is going to get all the water because that's the priority. All the surplus water gets then drawn from the less important bits like your spine and your joints, and you can get more stiffness, more aches and pains. So drink about 2 litres of water a day. It sounds a lot, but you'll feel so much better. Get more energy as well. Right, okay, so we'll come towards the end of the talk. Have you got any questions about anything so far? Has anyone got any specific questions about their own back or about looking after it, posture or anything like that?
Just curious, when you do your assessment, did you say you do x-rays as well, or do you just do it from a physical sort of feeling what's wrong and what the person's mobility is?
We use both.
Right, okay.
We don't take x-rays of everybody. It depends if you need them. But we have an x-ray suite in the practice. So reasons, for example, if you come in with nerve pain, then we'll probably take an X-ray. If you've tried lots of other things before and they haven't helped, then we may want to take an X-ray because we want to get as much information as possible and be thorough about it. If your posture's really all over the place, some people come in like that. Did you know you're not standing straight? What are you talking about? It's incredible. Then we want to know if you've got curves in the spine that you're not supposed to, things like that. All of this gives us more information so we can get better results quicker, basically. Or, of course, if you've had a really bad injury or something like that. Yeah, so X-rays aren't necessary for everybody, but they're very, very helpful for the people that need them. Right.
Yeah, that's fine. I'm first.
You've got the problem one first.
Okay, so we're going to be available for a little while. Like I say, we're available to come and check your desks out. But first of all, we're going to do, if that's okay, what we call free back checks. And a free back check is simply about a 10-minute brief assessment. You don't have to take your clothes off, don't worry. And what it is a simple posture and movement screen. So we look at you standing, we bend this way, bend that way. We can get a really good impression of how well your spine's working and pinpoint any obvious problems that either we can tell you what's going, we'll give you an idea of what's going on, or sometimes spot problems you may not know you have. So you can save pain in the future if you know how to deal with it now. Yeah, so we can be available. Is there like a site
We've
list?
we've got a list and everyone's got their times.
Fantastic.
So
yeah.
whoever's not first can go back, and then if you just pop down, maybe let the next person know by
Yeah.
phone.
Who's